Hi everybody, this is Caroline Sotheby and welcome to Up, Down, and Around Town. Well, I hope you had a wonderful holiday. We're still in the festive season. We're getting ready for another year. God, where has this year gone by? Anyway, we have to introduce you to one of our guests who I finally talked to the other day, and he says, because I just called the telephone number, right?
Yes, you
There
did.
was no name on it that said anything. And he says, yeah, Caroline, you remember me? I was on your show about 12 years ago.
About 12 years ago, right? Yeah, because when you told me this day before we went on the air here about Lily Jackson and all that, it was 7 years ago of that and everything else, and that she's been out of the business and everything
It's
else.
about 7 years.
So it's got to be 12, 13, 14 years since you were on with her
It
at
was
one
about
time.
10 or
yeah.
12 years ago when I did Little Shop of Horrors for Jackson Productions, yes. That
Yeah.
was 4 months of fun.
Okay. What has happened from that time on?
Fast forward.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Several years ago, my son, who's an actor, Tommy Wojtala, him and I, we decided we're going to open up our own theater group. We love the community theater crowds around here and the groups, and we still act within those groups. But we wanted to try something, and with Lily being our mentor and very good friend of the family, we decided we're going to try our shot at a dinner theater. It takes it to a different level. It's very, very intimate because you're very, very close with the audience rather than being up on the stage. So we opened with a murder mystery, which went very well. But for many years, I wanted to put together the Carol Burnett show. I've been a very good fan of that for many years. That took off like a wildfire. We did 4 different versions of that here in Wyandotte.
4 different ones?
4
Okay.
different versions. And the audiences just loved it. We brought back a lot of memories, a lot of fun. We emulated the actors. You know, I played Harvey Korman, so I don't look
did
like
you?
him, but
Harvey, yeah.
several times I sounded like him, I have to say. But the audiences just kept wanting more and more of that. And Tommy and I were talking, and we were like, you know, it's very clean comedy. You know, from the '70s. There's not that I don't like the comedy of today, but when you're out there in the public, especially you know, the general public, you want to bring quality entertainment without offending people. I don't think Carol Burnett has ever offended anyone, you know. So we made that our bar that we try to reach on every show, and successfully we did that. We're at a new venue, which is at the James R. DeSena Council for the Arts over there on Chestnut Street. We're starting that in January. What happened after we started the dinner theater, I was asked to direct a show for Wyandotte Community Theater last year, Respect, A Musical Journey of Women. The show was just phenomenal.
It was.
It was great.
Virginia Perrette was there, and bless her heart, it was the first time in over 20 years that their shows sold out. All 4 of our shows sold out with that show, with really an unknown show. It wasn't like Chicago or Sound of Music. It was Respect. No one knew about it, but we promoted it correctly. And once that was over with, I wanted to keep riding that wave. So over the summer, I decided to sit down and write another show. And I went to the library. I actually went to the library and took books out. I wasn't
about that?
online.
How about that?
Right.
I did go online, but I did go to the library, and I did a lot of research with regards to the beginning of entertainment on stage. And one of those areas was vaudeville.
Right.
You know, it transcends to today, totally. So I was doing my research, looking at all of the actors that may have made the transition from stage to the silver screen, to the television screen, and I saw another journey, like Respect, A Musical Journey of Women, vaudeville, a journey of music and entertainment. So I started putting it into chronological order, and it really started to make sense. So I started to incorporate a lot of the comedy that they did on stage back then. thinking of that, I thought, well, maybe I can throw in a couple of songs here and there, but I didn't want to offend a songwriter or look into royalty,
Yeah.
that. Upon my research, I found a lot of music that's available through the public domain. So I started looking at that music. It's incredible, the amount of music that's the old standards, like Ain't We Got Fun, By the Light of the Silvery Moon, On Moonlight
stuff
Bay.
like
Those
all
are
this, yeah,
years
yeah.
and years
Years
and
and years, but they continually evolve with
entertainment.
everyone. Exactly, and so I started to put in a couple of songs along the journey, which pretty much starts with Fanny Bryce. We have Barb Day of Belleville playing Fanny Bryce, and she does a knockout job.
Really?
Yep. Sophie Tucker, she was like the Bette Midler of the time, the stand-up. She
yeah.
was like one of the original stand-ups, and Emily Flesch will be playing Sophie Tucker, as well as doing a song Judy Garland sang. Then we took it even further with Milton Berle, Abbott and Costello, some Doris Day songs. Lucille Ball was also part of vaudeville. So I wanted to try to hit on things that people would very easily recognize and enjoy.
Yeah.
And it just kept going. I mean, the one script that I wrote with this, I could probably write 200 more scripts with all of the entertainment.
Do you personally like a regular stage play or the dinner theater? To me, I like the dinner theater because you're offering just a little bit more, I think, to a person buying a ticket.
Yeah.
They have two things to look forward to, everything, than just going in, sitting down, and watching a stage production. And you said something about Carol Burnett. How about all the people she discussed it in the movie Annie? All the kids.
Yeah.
She had to play a part there where she
That
was,
was
kind of miserable, wasn't she?
That was miserable, but she was acting. That's what we do. We act.
You mentioned two more, Abbott and Costello. You know that I haven't come across it, and everybody says that there's not two comedians can do it like Bud Abbott and Costello did. Who's on first?
Probably not.
To do that over again,
But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of them out there that try.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
boy.
And
Definitely, yes.
Even if they hit just a little bit, they're hitting a memory in your mind, and they're bringing back a very good feeling that
Right,
you have.
right.
So what does Bud Abbott and yeah, those two do in your production?
Tommy, my son Tommy Voitala, and Nick Mullins will be performing a skit.
they?
A skit from Bud Abbott
and
and
Costello, yes. And we've got Diana Jones Kirby, who will transform into Lucille Ball. Let's see here, Joy Zuzanis. She's going to be Gypsy Rose Lee.
Oh, really?
I mean, we've got a lot of names that
Yeah.
really bring out the vaudeville and the entertainment value. And then we transcend into more modern, with the Ed Sullivan Show, maybe a little bit of hee-haw, crazy as it sounds, but the hee-haw show was pretty much vaudeville down south.
Yeah, let's go back to, we heard burlesque. And when I went in the Navy and got out to San Diego, and I'm going past the theater, and it said burlesque. There was no stripping or nothing in it. It was tap dancers and everything else. And it was like what you're talking about, vaudeville. They sort of ran together, but one was called burlesque, the other was called vaudeville.
Absolutely. There were several circuits that they would do. They would actually move from town to town through the Orpheum circuit, all of these cities, and the theaters putting on stage plays, or later on with movies, they would have the vaudeville entertainers prior to the major performance. So all of these little acts would just travel all around. They actually probably made more money than the stage actors that were
Probably.
performing there.
Yeah.
But they had a rough life.
Yeah, they had to go and travel a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely. And with burlesque and with vaudeville, today you think burlesque it does sound.
Yeah.
You know.
It sounds like you're going to a strip joint or something.
Yeah.
But now they don't say that. You don't hear that word burlesque very much right now. It comes right out and says, here's a strip joint,
They had a lot of rules.
Topless.
Absolutely. They had a lot of rules in vaudeville and also burlesque. There were certain things the actors could not say on stage to offend the women, the children. There were certain maybe areas of town, a certain street that might seem seedy. If they mentioned that, they were taken off the stage. So it wasn't as dirty or anything as it was. It was very, very strict. It opened up more in the 30s, but that's when vaudeville started to see the decline with silver screen more being available.
Well, you know, some of the things that I think a lot of probably our age and maybe a little bit younger or something like that, let's go back to Al Jolson's era and everything, Showboat and some of these plays and stuff that they did on it. They turned them into movies with Howard Keel and Katherine Grayson and stuff like that. Turned out musicals, which Hollywood doesn't do very much of anymore.
No, not anymore. I mean, every once in a while they'll throw one in there, which is really
but
exciting.
it's probably already
Chicago.
20 years old that they probably throw on TV or something like that. It's not a new production of a music production like they did and thing.
Right.
You know, it's too bad they didn't have color. Just think if they'd had color all the way back when they first started when sound movies came into effect and everything else like that. If they
Fred
had it
Astaire
then,
and Ginger Rogers.
oh
and all
God,
of those,
you know, there's so many things that you can go back. That was in fact, you know who I saw in that burlesque theater in San Diego, California, the Robertson brothers that used to tap dance on a little stairway like that. They were the main feature.
In fact, they were one of the couple that showed up as far as the research goes. But I didn't have a tap dancer available at the time, you know. So,
you know, I don't
Well, you
think
can
there's very much
incorporate it if you find someone.
absolutely. I mean, TNT, we're always looking for great enthusiasm in our acting. We're a fun group. We're a family, and we've had several actors with us over the years, and it just seems to keep growing. And we just have a good time. We have a good time rehearsing. We have a great time entertaining the audience, especially, like you said, with dinner theater. It's very choreographed as far as the experience, the evening goes. You know, the doors would open at like 6:30. People start coming in. They're escorted to their table. Dinner is served at 7. The show starts at 8. At about 8:45, there's a break for intermission. That's where dessert is served. We continue on with the show maybe around 9:15, and then about 9:45 to 10 o'clock, the show is over. So it's really 3 hours of an experience.
2 acts or 3 acts?
Yeah, 2 acts, and we have a wonderful caterer. I mean, I'm sure you've had Ray's Prime Foods. They're our caterer now.
Are they really?
They have an incredible Italian herb roasted chicken, roast beef. Everything is fresh, so we're looking forward to working with them, having them cater our food, cater our fare, and it's just a wonderful evening. I mean, when I first did dinner theater for Lily Jackson at Jackson Productions, you go from a stage to a smaller stage, but the audience is right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's incredible the connection you make, because dinner theater embraces the audience, whereas up on stage, you act to the audience. You try to draw them in. Here, they're already drawn in. You just keep them drawn
Unless
in.
they don't like you, then you got a problem.
Well, haven't yet.
How big is your cast now for vaudeville coming up?
Vaudeville, we have a cast of 7,
7?
which is one of our larger casts for dinner theater. Usually we restrict it down to about